Trump's so-called pirates fail spectacularly once again to intercept Mojtaba's massive Iranian oil tanker slipping through naval cordon. Iranian oil tanker sneaks effortlessly past vaunted U.S. siege operation, leaving American pirates embarrassingly caught snoozing on watch. 1.9 million barrels of Iranian crude sail safely far away, raising serious questions about America's actual naval efficacy in Hormuz.
Well, it's a very friendly blockade. Nobody's even challenging it.
$220 million worth of sanctioned Iranian oil slips completely away while Trump laughably terms his own failed blockade friendly cooperation. Trump calls blockade unchallenged even as Iranian tanker blatantly exposes massive gaping holes throughout entire U.S. naval operation. An Iranian-flagged tanker carrying crude oil has reached the Far East after maneuvering beyond U.S. tracking, underscoring gaps in the effectiveness of the naval blockade. The vessel belongs to the National Iranian Tanker Company and is reported to be carrying more than 1.9 million barrels of crude oil, representing a major escape from the Strait of Hormuz choke point. The ship, identified as the Huge, is estimated to be transporting oil worth nearly $220 million, highlighting the monetary stakes of each successful evasion. The Huge was last clearly tracked near Sri Lanka and is reportedly transiting Indonesian waters toward the Rio archipelago, a key hub for ship-to-ship transfers and sales in the Asia-Pacific market. Data from tankertrackers.com suggests that the tanker temporarily evaded automatic tracking systems and likely slipped outside constant U.S. surveillance. The development raises fresh questions about the overall effectiveness of the U.S. naval blockade, as more Iranian-linked tankers appear to be finding routeways through the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia. This comes as President Trump described the Iranian naval blockade as friendly, claiming from a U.S. perspective that it is largely unchallenged and functioning according to Washington's design. Trump made the remark in response to a question about a letter he sent to Congress, in which he stated that the Iran war was effectively over, contradicting the ongoing military and economic pressure. The U.S. has also claimed that its forces have stopped at least 45 ships attempting to breach the blockade, suggesting that, while many vessels are being intercepted, others are still slipping through. The tanker's movement occurred around the same time that Washington received a new peace plan from Tehran, which has not yet been formally reviewed by the president.
Hello, everybody. So I think we can do this right here instead of at Doral. We're going to Doral. A lot of you traveling with me. Doing very well with regard to just about everything, but doing very well with regard to Iran. Again, they want to make a deal. They're decimated, and they're having a hard time figuring out who their leader is. They don't know who their leader is because their leader is gone. Their former leader came in. But we'll see. Any questions real fast? Which?
The new 14-point proposal that Iran has?
No, I haven't. I'm looking at it up here.
You're looking at it?
Yeah. I'll let you know about it later. But
Mr. President, last night you said we might be better off not making a deal with Iran.
Well, I wouldn't have to. I didn't say that. I said that if we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now. We're going to do it so nobody has to go back in 2 years or 5 years.
Mr. President, you also said last night that...
They told me about the concept of the deal. They're going to give me the exact wording. Yeah.
Mr. President, last night you also said that only like 85% of Iran's missile-making capabilities has been eliminated.
Correct.
Is that other 15% important? Does the United States need to eliminate that?
Well, I'd like to eliminate it. Yeah, I'd like to. It'd be a start for them to build up again. And yeah, I would like to eliminate it.
Sir, Sir, under what circumstances would you restart military strikes on targets?
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I can't tell that to a reporter. If they misbehave, if they do something bad, but right now, we'll see. But it's a possibility that could happen, sir.
Mr. President, in your letter to Congress, you said the hostilities in Iran that started have been terminated. How can you say that given that the naval blockade is still being militarily enforced?
Well, it's a very friendly blockade. Nobody's even challenging it. Nobody at all is challenging it. Just so you understand, many presidents have been involved in things that are very big. They never had to go through anything with respect to Congress. They considered it to be totally unconstitutional. And the Democrats in Congress that pushed this, and probably a couple of Republicans, they're hurting our negotiating ability, which is infinite right now. And they shouldn't be doing it. It's never happened before. No other president's done it. And I'm not going to be the first. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you envision a future where American energy companies are operating inside of Iran, much like Venezuela?
It could be. I'll tell you what, we have a lot of ships coming up to Texas and Louisiana. It's a line of ships. You saw the satellite. We have a line of ships, big ones, 2 million barrels, and they're coming up. I mean, literally hundreds of ships are in line to go to Texas. I mean, they're already started. But we're selling a lot of oil. A lot of oil.
Mr. President, why is the U.S. removing troops from Germany? Why is the U.S. removing troops from Germany?
We're going to cut way down, and we're cutting a lot further than 5,000. Thank you very much.
Subsequently, Trump said he would look at Iran's 14-point peace proposal but added that he can't imagine it will be acceptable, signaling skepticism even before detailed analysis. Earlier, Trump had also likened the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports to the country operating like pirates, using the same term to describe the seizure of Iranian-linked oil ships. Donald Trump has sparked a fresh controversy after publicly comparing the U.S. Navy to pirates, reigniting debate over the legality and optics of the naval blockade against Iran. Speaking on May 1st, Trump described the recent U.S. seizures of vessels carrying Iranian oil, portraying the operations as profitable and likening the interdiction missions to pirate-style takings. His remarks referred to the broader U.S. effort to intercept Iranian tankers and other ships in international waters, part of a strategy to restrict Tehran's energy exports and cut off revenue streams. These actions are designed to form part of a wider pressure campaign aimed at weakening Iran's economy during indirect talks over the Strait of Hormuz and the nuclear file. Tehran, meanwhile, has repeatedly likened U.S. naval operations against Iranian-linked ships to an act of maritime piracy, accusing Washington of using the blockade to seize commercial assets. A new investigation by CNN has taken a deeper look into Iran's attacks on U.S. military bases across the Middle East during the war, shedding fresh light on how the strikes unfolded. More details are now beginning to emerge about Iran's successful attacks on American military sites, with new reporting pointing to the scale, timing, and apparent effectiveness of those operations. CNN reported that Iran struck at least 16 American military sites spread across 8 countries in the Middle East, indicating that the campaign was broader and more coordinated than previously understood. The American media outlet made this claim after examining satellite imagery, reviewing damage assessments, and speaking to multiple sources through interviews connected to the incidents. According to CNN, several military installations suffered major operational damage in the attacks, while some of the affected sites were left temporarily or completely unusable. A source cited by CNN said, and I quote, "There has been a spectrum of assessments. From a pretty dramatic side, of the whole facility is destroyed and needs to be shut down to leaders who say these things are worth repairing due to the strategic benefit they give the US." Unquote. Iran strikes reportedly targeted advanced radar systems, communications infrastructure, missile defense assets, and military aircraft, suggesting a deliberate effort to weaken key elements of America's regional defense network. Radar systems linked to American THAAD missile batteries in Jordan were among the assets reportedly targeted, raising questions about the vulnerability of high-value air defense systems in the region. Radar installations located at U.S. military sites in the United Arab Emirates were also reportedly hit, indicating that Iranian strikes may have focused heavily on blinding surveillance and early warning capabilities. An American Boeing E-3 Sentry aircraft was reportedly destroyed in an Iranian strike on a Saudi airbase, marking what could be one of the most significant losses highlighted in the emerging reports. A congressional aide cited by CNN said, and I quote, "It's notable they really identified those facilities as the most cost-effective targets to hit. Our radar systems are our most expensive and our most limited resources in the region." Unquote. CNN has also challenged the Pentagon's public estimate of the financial cost of the war, suggesting that the officially stated figure may significantly understate the true scale of the burden. According to a source, the real figure is considerably higher once the damage inflicted on U.S. military sites across the region is fully taken into account. On April 29, the acting Pentagon controller told lawmakers that the United States had spent $25 billion on the conflict so far, presenting that number as the current official estimate. However, that figure does not include the potentially enormous costs of rebuilding damaged infrastructure or replacing military equipment lost or destroyed during the attacks. The real cost estimate is closer to $40 to $50 billion, a source familiar with the matter told CNN, pointing to a much wider financial impact than publicly acknowledged. Earlier reports had said that repairs to the headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet alone could cost around $200 million, underscoring how expensive even a single damaged facility can be. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has acknowledged that it still does not have final assessments regarding the full extent of the damage, leaving the total cost uncertain for now. Jules Hurst III said, and I quote, "We don't have a final number for what the damage is to our installations overseas. Our partners also might contribute a share for that construction. So we don't have a great estimate for what it would take to reconstitute those facilities." Unquote. The Pentagon told Congress that the war cost roughly $11 billion during its first 6 days alone, highlighting the extraordinary pace at which the financial burden mounted in the opening phase of the conflict. The War Department has requested more than $200 billion in additional military funding linked to the war, signaling expectations of prolonged costs and a much wider long-term defense commitment. Apart from direct military losses, the blockade of Hormuz is also intensifying the energy crisis in the United States, adding economic pressure at home to the strategic and operational costs overseas.